Hey folks, it's Rob and welcome back. Um, Not technically part of the solo play series, so this is more of an interval where I'm going to talk about a couple things. Where part of it is about dice, that's why we have dice here, and some of it's going to be about uh, what we're what I'm planning to do next. So um, first off, let's talk a bit about dice. You might be If you're new to this, I might have some interesting things to say. Who knows? But I'm just going to show you some things. This thing here, this heavy thing here, is a bronze D20. And it's literally made of bronze. It's actually quite heavy. It makes a lot of noise when you roll it. It's what's different about this D20 as opposed to, say, this D20, other than the fact that its material composition and size, is if you're careful in noticing here that the numbers are laid out differently. Now, some would say, and see, like, this is what is called a spin down die. So I'll demonstrate that. It's usually, and it's quite handy for like number keeping. So you can see like it's a 20, and then 19, and then 18, and then a 17, and then a 16, and then a 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1, right? And the 1 is not on the opposite side of the 20, it's on the opposite side of the 17 here. Um, it's kind of like a counter that way. It's not necessarily an unfair die to roll, but basically all the high numbers are over here and all the low numbers are over here. And some people will say, not for me, right? Regular die, 20 is on one side, 1 is on the opposite. And these numbers are opposite each other, 19 and 2, right? 16 and actually 16 and 5 as opposed to 4. But you get my idea, right? These are not sequentially numbered. The sides are not generally unbalanced, right? I'll get an RD20. These these are from the like the year 2000 basic set, which that's like when they did third edition. And I think it's incomplete. I think there's supposed to be a purple D10 in there. Because typically these sets are more like this, right? You have, uh, regular 10 and then the 10's 10. But the, again, the truly old school stuff, you don't necessarily have a 10's 10. You'll just have a second different color D10 and you'll declare whichever one's going to be high. Or even just a 20 sider with 10, 1 to 1, basically 1 to 0 or 1 to 10 uh, twice on here. I don't actually own one of those currently. I don't think. I can't locate my old dice bag to be able to show. But another difference between like old dice and newer dice is that, for example, on this D4, you can see that the numbers are pointing into the top, right? You got 2, 3, and 4 here. And, over here it'd be 4, 3, and 1. Uh, Here, and let's see, we got 4, 3, and 1 here. We, yeah, here we go. See, they're in the center. You read from the bottom as opposed to the top. Um, and I don't know how well that would come over in the camera, but let's roll some dice, right? Um, yeah, get the box lid, and there. Uh, let's see here. You can see how, well, move it away from the edge. Uh, See how the 4 is pointing to the top on the black one, and on the white one, the 2 is at the bottom? And that's how you'd read those. I think we moved away from that number on the bottom a long time ago, and I think it probably was confusing to people who were unfamiliar with the dice. But basically, nowadays numbers are in the top and into the point. And just put this back in this little bag. I try to keep those separate. Nowadays, I try to keep my dice hygiene in order because I don't want to lose dice from various sets into various things. Because, well, when you have a big old dice bag full of loose dice, hard to tell, like, for example, which ones you've had for, like, 40 years. Unless there's something about them that tells you, right? Um, so I try to keep these in a little baggie. Uh, you know, I got a few of these older sets that I just like sometimes made use of, but like these blue ones here. Here, see. Um, sorry, I wasn't showing the yellow one under camera. Air. I kind of keep them in their packaging. Let's see. Or like when I'm not using them, I put them away, right? Put your toys away, kids. Uh, these are a set of dice I was using in previous videos, and they came in this tube, and I like the tube. I don't want all my dice in tubes, but that set is fine. And like this set came in a nice little metal case, so I keep them in the nice little metal case. And like this is literally the box for like these, right? And actually, I have an unopened one right here. It looks like this when you buy it. Uh, Alloyed dice tray. I think this was like in 2023. I already got these through charity. I picked them up in freaking Goodwill. Uh, not this. This I bought for $10, but pure bronze. I could say no. It had a lot of charm. But more commonly, you'll find a set of dice like this in a plastic box from Chessex, right? And these, I think, like go for like $8. Depends where you're buying them, of course. But you can buy them on Amazon, right? And a set of Sixers, they come in like this too. You can get really tiny Sixers, really packed in here. I don't have a set like that currently, but yeah, like $9, right? And then, of course, there's this thing, which is, you know, back in the day, you'd get your Crown Royal bag off of somebody that you knew because, like, they'd drink your bottle of Crown Royal, and it came in a nice little velveteen bag, purple, and uh, this is kind of like that. This is the bag of devouring from Wiz Dice. I got this because when I was going to introduce my wife to gaming, I needed some more dice, and I couldn't locate again, my original dice bag was this plastic vinyl thing, vinyl cloth kind of thing, like like upholstery, right? With a silver cord drawstring. I bought at the hobby shop because it was kind of cool because I was like 11, and I of course poured all my dice into it, and it went with me to Scotland, and it came back, and I have no idea where it is anymore. The things that happen. But just to show you, like this thing, they sell a couple varieties of this, but and what the contents are, I think varies. But you can see, I got a fair few dice of different colors, which can be quite handy for like, hey, pick out a set you like when you're introducing somebody to the game. My wife quite liked these purple ones, and so I got her some Sixers to go with, and a dice cup, and because she had small hands, she still does have small hands, obviously. No horrible accident occurred, uh, and it gets her like I don't know. I am a gamer. I suffer from a gamer disease of you can't have too many dice. Who knows how many dice I freaking have around this place? Just loose little bits sitting around like this thing sitting on my desk right now. Um, and you know, it's requires a will check to just avoid buying more dice when you're at like a game shop or at a convention. I mean, you just end up with more and more dice, and I mean that's how I end. How could I pass up these classic dice when I saw them at the charity shop, right? How? How could I pass this up? This was lovely. Lovely old high contrast yellow and black, old font. These are like 20th century dice, I'm pretty sure. I don't have an exact age. They aren't like early generation dice. They aren't like sharp edged or where you have to fill them in with the crayon or made out of that low impact plastic. These are, probably put out by the likes of something like Chessex or somebody, but just like in the 90s. And I couldn't pass them up. What could I say? What I wish this set had its original dice. It doesn't. I'm not above replacing the dice, honestly. So I have a set of dice with just in here. Um, I don't have. Basically, this one just came with the books and the box. It didn't have any of the insert flyers. Um, but that's fine. You know, no, hardly anybody really kept the old RPGA stuff and the catalog and whatnot. If you find a set with it, that's great. But it's um, not so common, right? I was lucky enough to get this for what I did. So we've been through the entire player's manual, and that's great. Read this book first. We haven't really gotten into the Dungeon Master's Guide, and I will probably do most of this as a separate video item, in our another separate little playlist where I need to avoid too much in the way of, well, first off, I mean, like, if you're a player, you shouldn't be reading this, right? So this is, if you're curious, that's great. And obviously, there's this line between like forbidding players from being DMs. We shouldn't do that. We want people to share in being dungeon masters. You don't want 5 people in a group with one forever DM and 4 players. You want to share that duty around. So we will go through this, but part of this is adventure material, right? There's a whole first level of Castle Mistomere in here, and we shouldn't really get into that unless I was actually going to be playing it with the party. But there's like monsters in here and treasure and stuff we can read through and talk about. And to that end, this here is the Mystara Second Edition AD&D Monstrous Compendium Appendix, and because Mystara is functionally the Dungeons and Dragons setting, because a helpful bit of feedback from the public from my most recent video suggested I go into some of the uniqueness of the monsters. Well, yes, there's some very interesting monsters in here, and they're also generally found in here, but with a broader format. Admittedly, it's second edition Dungeons and Dragons, so the things are a little different. But we have pictures in color, right? And admittedly, not always. Like these spiderkin, I guess you just have to imagine the spiders, as opposed to the spectral hound. Okay, we have one pictured spider. I mean, admittedly, you probably have a fair idea what spiders look like in general, but nice stuff. I feel like that's worth a video or a few, right? And Then what I was also planning is more of a solo adventure. So I have this classic solo adventure, and this is one of the few solo adventures that really kind of, they're all semi-disposable, destructible, right? Um, but some of them are more disposable, destructible than others, and this is one of the lesser ones because you don't need to use a special pen. You don't need a special viewing lens. You basically, it's like a choose your own adventure on the inside in some ways, but they did expect you to write in these margins here for the Magic Journal. And like this character page in the back here is literally perforated, right? That's perforation. That actually just is meant to be ripped out of the book. And I'm glad nobody did. You got your maps, you got your charts in here, right? Um, it's a full adventure, and you're intended to play with the pre-generated characters to start. When you die, and this will happen, you're to write down basically where it happened in the book. I'm not going to write in this book. Um, I will, use pen and pencil. And I'm not going to write in the book. I'll write on sheets, obviously, for the character sheet, guy. And maybe I'll print out a proper character sheet. Who knows? But I'm going to use like post-it tags and flags, right? Simple, disposable, removable items that I won't harm the module with, right? That I can remove later and put this thing back away on the shelf and not have destroyed it for somebody else. Yeah, I think this will be fun. It's basically focused on magic users and elves, but it's a low-level solo adventure. It's also hard in the way that old adventures were. Sturges can be a real anything can be a real pain if you're not rolling well, but I mean, it's definitely going to be some dead characters along the way, and I don't know, it might be fun. I think it'll be fun for us to do this together at least for a bit, and you can see some gameplay. Maybe we'll introduce a character that we make at some point after we've used up the other guys here, because there's like 5 provided characters between, you got a first level magic user, first level elf, second level magic user, second level elf, third level magic user, third level elf. So 6 characters. And I think I picked out the third level elf just for our starting point, since it was the first one here, right? But like, you're actually meant to like kind of trace some of the rooms onto the map here. Not doing that either. But that's some of what I have in mind going forward, and hopefully you'll look forward to that. Probably not going to release videos every other day like I was. I was taking an opportunity of my wife being out of town on a business trip for basically a week and a half, and I had very little else to do. That's why I kind of got back into doing this, and it's peak season at my work right now. But I don't want to give this up. I enjoyed doing this, and I want to give some more. So I think what we'll do is I'll try to shoot for a video a week at the least. And maybe once I start getting the adventure, I'll have smaller bits I can just kind of backlog and schedule out like I did before. But we'll see. Anyhow, I hope you're looking forward to that. I'm not going to pad this out more, but I wanted to say that I appreciate every single comment that everybody has made. Thank you all for your polite and kind attention. I really appreciate all the likes and engagement that you have given. Um, I know this was just unedited, casual, me rambling and me reading, but in the end, um, it felt good to actually be recording again. And you know, I know this is not my long term subscribers, the people from back 10 years ago. This was a video game channel. Uh, I'm not opposed to doing some video game content again, but I was just like, when I stopped, I was not feeling the editing and work I was putting into it. And I had like a new woman in my life and, busy summer, environmental circumstances. But once the environmental circumstances were gone, I was in love with somebody and I was giving her my attention and time, and I still am. That's why I have this. But, um, I missed this doing this, and I missed sharing my hobbies, and I really missed Dungeons and Dragons a lot, and classic Dungeons and Dragons too. Like I, I'm a grognard. I'm an old graybeard. Um, these hairs are more pepper, more salt than pepper nowadays. But you know, thank you, thank you very much for your time, and I hope to make more time for you. You have a lot of choices in what you do. The world has ever more screaming for your attention, and I appreciate you taking some time with me. Have a great day, everybody. Goodbye.